Alright, hello everyone, it's silverkyle, and today I am going to be talking about the newly announced Harvest Moon game coming out for the Nintendo Switch this year in 2020 called One World. And I have mixed feelings about this. First of all, I am a massive Harvest Moon fan. I took out my collection in the background, so I am clearly a devoted fan to this series. There's just something about farm simulators that really jive well with me. Kind of like the love that everybody has, that so many people have, for the Animal Crossing series. And I am enjoying the latest Animal Crossing game on the Switch, but to me, you have Animal Crossing, and Harvest Moon is just leaps and bounds beyond that for the first 15 or so years anyway. And yeah, I like Stardew Valley. I like which was like a love letter to the Harvest Moon series. I like the Rune Factory, which is kind of a spin-off from that. I like also Story of Seasons, and we'll get into that in a second. But that's the main thing that I would like to talk about, because the first 15 or so years, like I alluded to, of Harvest Moon games were excellent because they were made by Marvelous, and Natsume were the ones that were producing it and bringing it over. So Natsume has the rights to the title of Harvest Moon, but about 5 years ago or so, maybe a little bit more now, Marvelous and Natsume split, and Natsume continued making Harvest Moon games just in title. It was a completely new group of people making the games, but Marvelous got the rights to the name of Story of Seasons and kind of continued the Harvest Moon franchise with this series. And this is where, if you want to be playing like the good farming simulators from like Harvest Moon, this is what you do, because Marvelous is the ones that created them. They're actually remaking my favorite game. Well, my favorite game is Harvest Moon Back to Nature, but then they made like a port of that for the Game Boy Advance called Friends of Mineral Town, and Marvelous is making a Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town remake for the Nintendo Switch that should be, it's already out in Japan, and I think Europe is getting it July 10th, and I'm hoping that North America gets it soon as well. I'm hoping that we get it around that time. That would be perfect. That would be like right around my birthday. That would be amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to the Story of Seasons Harvest Moon remake of Friends of Mineral Town. But the Harvest Moon games in the last few years where Natsume has been making it have been absolutely terrible. They had one for 3DS, I think, and I didn't even want to touch it. And it looked just a little bit different. And from what I gather, that at least, I mean, they did terraforming, which is completely different from any Harvest Moon game previously. But at least it looked a little bit more like a Harvest Moon game. And then they started making the latest one that came out on Switch, I think 2 years ago. I think Light of Hope is what it was called. I can't remember. Or Seeds of Memories. I think that might be the other one. But they were made just before that. I think it was Seeds of Memories. And those games were made for like iPads, and you could play it on your no, and it looked like it was made like a Flash game. It looked horrible, atrocious. Don't make your games like you could. I think you could have two different divisions. You should have people that are making games for like iPads and iPhones, and your smartphones, and that's fine if you wanna have a Harvest Moon experience like that. It's absolutely disgusting, but go right ahead. But I think that then they should be focusing on is making games just for consoles that don't look like trash in a Flash game that you could have made in 2005. That's my personal opinion. However, this game gives me a little bit of hope, a little bit. But I've heard them talk about we're going to go back to our roots, and then they ended up making the iOS game. So no, that just my expectations were like really high with them saying that they were coming in guns blazing and we're going to go back to the roots to what everybody loved, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And then we got like Seeds of Memories, and it was iOS, and I was just like, I wanted to throw up. I really did not like the look of those games at all. Like it actually bothered me. So like I said, Story of Seasons is where it's at. But okay, this game is going to be made for the Nintendo Switch. It doesn't look like it is coming to any other platform at the moment. I could see it eventually maybe going to PS4, but by the looks of it, it won't be just a Flash kind of game that looks absolutely like crap. The SNES game looked better. Like that's how bad it was. What this is going to be, though, I kind of like the idea, is that, can you imagine a world without tomatoes, strawberries, or even cabbage? In the latest entry in the Harvest Moon series, that's the stipulation players find themselves in. Only an old book gives hints of what once was, and what they have to do, so they have basically no vegetables or fruit at all, and what they have to do is they have to go outside of their town into the actual world. And the other thing, too, the title for this, One World, I think is fine, but the font that they used, once again, looks like you could have, like, a high school kid made this in their computer class. Like, it's absolutely horrible. There's colors there that look like they're not matching up, and it's just, what the heck were they thinking? Put a little bit of effort into these games. Jeez, the presentation is a lot. Anyway, but the premise here is that you have to go out into the world and go into all these other towns and places to find fruit and vegetables. I kind of like that idea. That's a little bit different from the regular Harvest Moon series and Story of Seasons. So that sounds could be fun and interesting, depending on how the game looks. But they said, over the decades, Harvest Moon has evolved, but has always retained the traditional family-friendly farming fun that the franchise is known for. The new engine and new graphics will upgrade this experience for 2020. We are excited to share more about the features of Harvest Moon One World in the coming months. I think it's slated for fall 2020. What I like here is that they said it's a new engine and new graphics, so it won't look like what the previous few Harvest Moon games have looked like. And that gives me a little bit of hope. A little bit. I still don't think that this is going to be amazing. I'm keeping my expectations low so that if it's mediocre, and as long as it's better than the previous games, maybe I'll pick. I don't know. I'm such a fan of the series that I wanted to go back, because I still like the name Harvest Moon, but it's been tainted for the last few years. And I would just like them to... I would love if we had Story of Seasons, Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, all in the same category again. Like, you have a bunch of different options. And Rune Factory, because there's going to be a Rune Factory 5. So if you want, like, a little bit more battling in it, that's definitely an option. I would love to have all these different venues for farming simulation games that, we can choose. Okay, well, I'm going to pick Story of Seasons right now, and then Harvest Moon, I'm going to get that later on, and then I'm going to play the Rune Factory. Like, just have all these different options of excellent games that all feel a little bit different, but are all still very good. That's my hope. So we'll see how that goes. Expectations are low, but a little bit higher than what it was for their last 2018 release that they had. So that's my feelings on it. Thank you all for watching. You've been Bearded In. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this. And I'll talk to you all next time. Beardage!